On this channel, we love exploring what makes a design professional and what makes a design more amateur. Now, if you're passionate about graphic design and you want to gain a deeper insight into the process of being a professional designer, then today's video is exactly where you want to be. But first, a quick word from today's sponsor. It's really great being able to show how a design looks, but it's even more impressive if they can actually experience the design itself, as well as understand how it feels and how it behaves. Learn more about Framer later in today's video. So do you know what logo this symbol belongs to? It's a pretty notorious brand, and it's the logo we're going to look at first in today's video tutorial. Now we're going to walk through 4 different designs together, and not all of them are logos by the way, but I'm going to show you some of the key aspects to solving design problems and how to come up with the right font choice for a graphic design. So have you figured out what logo this is? It is of course the Rolex logo, probably the most notorious watch brand in existence. But what is wrong with this logo type seen here? Why do you think this doesn't work for the Rolex brand? Well, let's dig a little bit deeper, and the symbol of course is a crown. Everybody can see that this is a crown, right? But that's not enough. As designers, we need to go further than just saying it's a crown. The symbol of a crown suggests royalty, and it's the best of the best. It's a very old symbol that's steeped in tradition. So does the bold sans serif font suggest tradition and aged to you? No, it doesn't, of course. Sans serif fonts are modern and they're kind of trendy. The way a sans serif font appears does not relate back to royalty and tradition, and so it's not going to fit with this brand whatsoever. That is why we finally land on the correct font choice for Rolex, that being an established serif font. But hold up, there is still something wrong with this logo type that you can see on screen. But can you spot what that is? Look closely because there is something wrong, and you can pick up some bonus points for working that out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you what it is. The kerning is a tiny bit incorrect that leaves the logo type looking slightly off. So good, let's move on to the next design, and they are going to become increasingly more difficult as we progress through the video. And I'm sure you've probably seen the next design. I'd be shocked if you've never seen it before. So at the bottom of the poster, there is often a one-word caption that says hope, H-O-P-E, hope. So let's reverse engineer this design and think like a professional designer. That is the thing about graphic design. It requires a creative mind, but it's a very methodical and precise process at the same time. It's almost scientific. It kind of brings together the creative mind with the methodical one. So what is this poster design trying to achieve from your perspective? Drop any kind of political bias that you might or might not have and ask yourself, what is this design trying to do? Well, it's trying to cause an impact on society and whomever sees it, and it wants attention, and it's also informing people of something as well. So when choosing a font, we want to make sure the font choice helps the design achieve these things. But also, what do you see in the actual design itself? What can be said for the style and the layout of this poster? Do you see any gradients being used? No, we don't. We just see a bold, flat kind of color layout. Actually, it's very bold, in fact. It's simple, it's bold, and it's a no-nonsense style of design. And so it would be wise to use a font that complements those attributes. So would a serif font be a good choice here? Probably not. This isn't loud and impacting or bold or simple. So what about a lowercase solution, a lowercase sans serif? Well, it's not bold, and being lowercase, it's quite subdued. It doesn't demand that attention, so that's a nope from me. And then finally we land on the actual choice the designer used, an extremely bold and attention-grabbing sans serif font. So I hope the process is making sense to you guys, and if you are getting things correct so far in your mind, then awesome. But let's try another example. Here we have the Nike logo, possibly the most iconic logo design ever made. So for this exercise, we are again focusing on the logo type. Why does this version of the logo not work? Why do you think having the word Nike in italics appears to work best for this logo? There are 2 fundamental reasons why that is the case, but can you work out what they might be? Okay, so let's get our design hats on again, and let's ask ourselves firstly, what is the brand Nike? Well, Nike is a sports brand. And in being a sports brand, we can associate things with it such as action, movement, speed, agility, and so on. These are all things that humans think of when concerning sports, and these are things that should be linked back to the brand itself. The way the letter forms are constructed suggests movement and speed from a visual and psychological point of view. It's why you see the Adidas logo having 3 angled straight lines, because those kind of angled straight lines represent movement and a forward motion. So that's one reason why Nike functions well with italics. There is another reason as well, and what do you think that reason might be? So let's take another look at the logo mark for a second. If we draw some lines, we can see that the logo has momentum shifting to the right. On the far left edge of the logo, it's kind of sort of capped and blunted, and then the swoosh directs movement or momentum to the right side. With all of this movement going on in the logo mark, it wouldn't be a good choice to have a static, fixed, upright kind of style of logo type. This would just go against the whole momentum of the logo symbol itself. So these are 2 fundamental reasons why Nike should and is shown with italics. But let's move on to the 4th design example today. So here is an advertising poster for Gucci, and we are going to focus on the subtitle here. So why do you think the subtitle being presented in a thin sans serif font works well in this instance? It has a kind of mixture of upper and lowercase lettering in a title style casing. And yeah, it's a thin sans serif font, but why does that work? Now I'm sure many of you will say because of contrast. And yes, that is a good answer because contrast has been used here and it does work. But that's not exactly what I'm referring to in this exercise. Now this might seem slightly weird to some of you, but it's something that I and many designers do when choosing typography, and that is to try and imagine somebody saying the text out loud. Try and think what kind of voice would be used. So for Gucci, we have a very classy and sophisticated serif font presented in all uppercase letter forms. This word said aloud would be somewhat kind of loud, but not in a shouting and annoying kind of sense to the ears. It would sound almost elegant, but in a kind of domineering and established way. It would be a strong presence in the room, but in a sophisticated way. The lower text is more subdued. It's more personal because it has that lowercase letter forms, and it has a thin sans serif font, so it's not as loud. However, it still holds class and sophistication because it's not exactly a playful style of font. It could almost be seen as a kind of a sensual whisper when spoken aloud. And of course it has some French words in there as well, which just adds to that effect. This might sound odd or weird to many of you, but thinking in this way really does help when matching typography to your designs. So interactive prototyping is the best way to communicate your app or your website idea. The sponsor of today's video, Framer, is a no-code, free-to-use tool making it easy for anyone to become a prototyper. You can insert pre-built interactive components in seconds, sliders that actually slide, and inputs that can be filled, as well as buttons that can actually be clicked. Or of course, you can create your own, complete with every state and variation you need. And that's all completely code-free thanks to the new Smart Components release. Sign up to Framer today at framer.com/Satori. And that link is going to be down in the description box below. And if you want to see more content, just click a video on screen. Until next time, design your future today. Peace.